So, sorry? Yeah. Okay. So I'll be introducing Victor Onazi. He's going to be talking on designing for the future. Clap now. No energy. Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect. Hi everyone. Sorry, can my slide go next? Mm, okay, let me just go ahead then. So we're talking for designing for the future, how open source can help sustain a suitable world. So before we start, what is open source design? I mean, it's something that a lot of people are curious about, want to know what open source design is about. But basically, I would say the key word there is when it comes to sharing, collaborative, I mean, bringing resources together that are easily accessible for, next please, yeah. That are easily, freely shared for people, and basically accessible for people. Yeah. And when it comes to open source, it's something that is basically done out there and give people this access to do things that are very free for them and be able to like access resources that are out there. I'll be speaking on the benefit of open source. I mean, there are many benefits, but I'll just pinpoint some. I mean, feel like creates efficiency in design process. I mean, you don't want to solve a problem that has already been solved, and you don't want to start from scratch. I mean, creating efficiency in doing that will help people do that. Teach other designer best practices. I mean, when it comes to teaching other designer best practices, I mean like you're trying to bring the industry standard to other people that basically don't know it, how it works. I mean, these are what open source do to people. I mean, these are like the benefit of what open source do to people. It help other design teams as well. Give room for flex, accessibility, and affordability. I mean, these are like the key words that open source design basically do and all. And lastly, it helps in customization and adaptation. And when it comes to customization, when you see an open source project out there, it gets so when you see an open source project out there, it helps people to be able to do stuff easily. Next slide. Next slide. So I'll be speaking on the example next. Yeah. I'll speaking on the example of some open source projects that have impacted the community, and basically it has helped shape the sustainable world for people. So next, please. And this is one of an interesting design toolkit that we contributed in. I mean, I have quite a number of people in the house that contributed to this particular open source project. So this particular open source project has helped people easily have accessibility to, like you can see on the every portfolio, we have sections like design contracts, a lot of stuff that he has done, and basically it's just creating impact to the community. Next, please. And this is another one. This is a very popular individual, Jones Banks. It's somebody that basically has impacted the Figma community by giving a lot of people access to these particular resources. Next, please. And this is a very popular one as well. Avatar is just a crowd open source project to just create Avatar. And this was basically done with a combination of both designers and developer. It has given people the flexibility to collaborate. And these are like the impact of what open source design is basically doing for people as well. Next, please. Yeah, so how do we design for the future? Next, please. Design for open source. I mean, that's the key word for everything. Designing for open source will definitely help in doing all this. Next, please. And these are like the key principles. Whenever you are designing for open source, bear in mind collaboration and knowledge sharing, bear in mind education and awareness, and social equity and inclusion. These are like the things you should bear in mind. Next, please. Next. And finally, in conclusion, by embracing open source design, we can collectively create a more equitable, regenerative, and sustainable world for everyone. I mean, these are like the keywords that we should bear in mind when it comes to open source design. And next.